It's kind of fun to go look back at the kinds of things that you did in your childhood, and then you realize how ridiculous some of those things end up being. A couple things actually come to mind when I think about this, and one of them is my completely irrational fear of tornadoes. This fear became so irrational that I thought if I slept on the left-hand side of my body, I would have nightmares about tornadoes and that a tornado would actually happen in my city. Not that it actually helps that there was an F5 tornado in my city in 1987, the same year that I was born. Most ridiculous fear ever conceived belongs to this guy. Moving on from irrational fears to prancing around on my deck. I pranced around on my deck to wrestlers' entrance musics when I was a child. I would sit next to my TV with a boombox and just sit there and record wrestlers' entrance musics on a cassette tape. Then I would bring that cassette tape outside with me and then pretend that I was doing their entrances along my deck. I still have that cassette tape and I still have this to remember my wrestling memories by. Continuing along the wrestling theme, I would take toys like these that I got from Happy Meals and put them in wrestling matches together. Obviously my favorite one would always win, and then I would actually make up tournament brackets. Yes, I made up tournament brackets for my stuffed toys and I would have them in wrestling matches together while I was bored. Right around the time after I started watching South Park, I happened to want to write a story about South Park characters. I've now learned that I once wrote South Park fan fiction when I was 12. Unfortunately, that story no longer exists because I wrote it on a piece of paper and my mom decided to throw it out once she found it that it existed. I have no idea what I wrote about, so we're just gonna have to imagine some big and awesome story that I wrote about South Park. Wrestling with Beanie Babies and writing South Park fanfiction, it's really a surprise to me that I even had any friends. It'll be interesting to see if anybody can top my ridiculous childhood stories. Everything else that I do on the internet can be found down here, and those are all the embarrassing stories that I have for today. Clothesline from Speedy the Turtle with all the dust flying all over the place.